Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. This meeting of online presenters has now begun. Guests, please note that in order to be a member of our club, you must be a current or former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 speeches from either the traditional or the current pathways programs, or you must have substantial relevant presentation experience that you demonstrate in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered to us during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to approval by the members of online presenters. If you have not already done so, please change your video panel to show your name and role if you have one. You can just simply right-click on the thumbnail and select rename to do so. We have members and oftentimes guests from many countries throughout the world. Thus, as a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we are recording the meeting. Your video and audio contributions may be used for our club marketing purposes. Please mute your microphone when you are not speaking. And at this time, I will kind of switch hats and put on my president hat and say, welcome everybody to our meeting. We have an intimate group with us this evening, but I'm still happy that all of you are here, especially to our guests. I'm looking forward to another wonderful meeting. I don't have much in the way of announcements, but I oftentimes will share those for the end of the meeting anyway. We'll kind of hop right into things, and I will turn it over to our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Graham Cairns.
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome everybody to this meeting of Online Presenters Toastmasters Club. My name is Graham Cairns. I am your Toastmaster of the day, the morning, the evening, the afternoon, the whatever time it is, wherever you are, but I'm going to be the slave driver because the theme today is work and play. Because today is Labor Day for many, we've decided on work and play as the theme, and our word of the day, compensation. We'll get to that a little later when we get to the grammarian, but we'd like you to think about work and play. I have, for example, a virtual background of books, and I chose that background not just because I like books, but because these are for me both work and play. I use books to research, I use books to find out information, I use books to discover, and that's my work. But that's also my play. I like nothing more than to expand my horizons, to blow my mind and find things that I did not know before. One of the things about being a journalist is that I don't need to know a lot about anything, but I need to know a little bit about a lot of things. And so that's why books are both my work and my play. Think about what is work for you and think about what is play for you and think about how you can make the two fit together. But also, and that's important on a day like Labor Day, think about how you can make sure that the two are separated so that they don't blur and become too indistinguishable. Now, that's the theme for the day. I'm going to be conducting the formal part of the meeting. Then we will have a general evaluator who will conduct the evaluations. There are various people who assist me in my role. The first of those is our timekeeper. And so can I please introduce our timekeeper for tonight, Hector Cabrera. And Hector, how are you going to indicate times to our participants?
Thank you very much, Graham. To help our prepared speakers, table topics, and evaluators get the cues, I'm going to be using my backgrounds. For the speakers, 5 to 7 minutes, you will see the green appear at 5, the yellow at 6, the red at 7. In the case of our table topics, it will be 1, 1.5, and 2 minutes. In case of evaluators, 2, 2.5, and 3 minutes. And I will be monitoring the time and cueing our Toastmaster, making sure we keep our meeting on time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hector. And if you can drop the times into the chat as well, when each role is finished, that will assist the evaluators in saying whether the speakers went to time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Our R counter tonight, and I've already had 2 or 3 R's tonight. I know, I've already noticed that. April, what will you be doing?
Thank you, Toastmaster. My role as the all counter is to listen for crunch words such as I, and so. And among many others, these crutch words and filler words undermine our message and distract our audience. I will listen for these crutch words and filler words along with other repeats and false starts. When called upon, without compensation, I will give my report. Thank you, Toastmaster.
Well done in getting in the word of the day. Thank you, April. On the subject of word of the day, our grammarian Birgit isn't here, but I have asked Marianne if she'll step into that role. So Marianne, as grammarian.
As grammarian, I will be listening very carefully, and I will be looking for really nice usage of the English language, verbal gems that you might present, and also some things where we might not do our best. So back to you, Graham.
Thank you, Madam Grammarian. One role that's not unique to this club, but I certainly haven't seen it in many clubs. And it's because this club is all about online presentations. One role that we have is the watcher. And Laura, can you tell us what you'll be doing as watcher?
Yes, happy to do that, Toastmaster. As the watcher today, I will be looking at the visual presentation. Specifically, I'll be looking at framing, your lighting. Does your visual presentation enhance or detract from your message and from you? And I'll give a report when called upon, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Laura. Our chat monitor, again, a role that is almost exclusive to this club, was going to be Lee Seng, but Lee Seng couldn't make it. And Andre has stepped up, as he always does, to do whatever is needed to be chat monitor. Andre, what will you be looking for and how will you be doing your role?
Oh, Mr. Toastmaster of the day, fellow online presenters and guests, my role is unique and it's really important to be unique in online presentation. Role of chat monitor is, as you guessed correctly, monitor online chat. I will be looking out for particularly good use of online chat. So go ahead and give it a go. Use your chat on your right-hand panel, just chat away. Nicely, if you could use play and work, the theme of the day. And please be aware of the language usage that may be offensive, or just let's have some fun. Back to you, and I will be reporting at the end of the evening with my observations. Back to you, Graham.
Thank you, Andre. And just one last reminder about chat. Use the chat, that's what it's for. But we would ask that you don't chat while people are actually giving their formal presentations, because the same as you wouldn't in a brick and mortar club, it's just a bit rude. Okay, have I missed anybody? Yes, I've missed the vote counter, and I should ask our vote counter, Donna, how she is going to be counting the votes this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. I am going to use our tool, the vote counting tool. So while our speakers are speaking and our evaluators table topics, you choose your most preferred speaker. Let me know. I will send the tool out and I will share the results with you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
So at the end of the speaking session and at the end of the topic session, we will call for votes, and then there will be this super whiz bang, amazing technical wizardry that David has created for us without compensation. See, I've got the word in. And so you'll be able to use that. Okay, so that's the support roles. What are they supporting? They're supporting those who are going to be speaking, because this is a Toastmasters club. And what do we do in Toastmasters clubs? We speak. We speak for specific purposes, I might tell you. And so we have two formal presentations tonight, two pathways speeches. The first of those is from Lukas Calafell, IP5, SR2. I love the acronyms, it used to be simpler. But Lukas is going to be talking to us from the strategic relationships path. This is level 3, connect with storytelling. So as it says on the tin, this is about using storytelling to connect with your audience. And Lukas will be talking to us about his graduation ceremony, but more importantly, talking to us about something his grandma told him on his graduation day. So with his speech, graduation and grandma for a time of 5 to 7 minutes with lights at 5, 6 and 7, please, Mr. Timekeeper. Will you please make most welcome Lukas Calafell. Lukas.
May 2nd, 2015, the day of my graduation ceremony. It was certainly not my high school graduation, not my bachelor's degree graduation, but my master's degree graduation. I remember that day getting up, bringing my cap and gown, driving to campus on my own, and going into that private designated entrance at the university's basketball arena, designated just for the graduates of that day. I felt like a VIP, even though hundreds of other graduates were going through that same entrance. As you can imagine, a basketball arena could fill up a large amount of people. And I had some family members there to witness this occasion. I had my mom, dad, brother, and my grandmother. As with any graduation ceremony, you have the fanfare, the pomp and circumstance, the walking across the stage, shaking the university president's hand, getting a picture with the university's mascot. And let's not forget when the university president encourages all graduates to support the university financially after they get a nice full-time job. But after all of that, the ceremony ended. And out of all of those things, which of course is a very special occasion, there was something that my grandmother told me that for me overshadowed all of that. It kind of stole the thunder out of all of that graduation fanfare. But I won't get there just yet. After the ceremony ended, I walked outside to reunite with my family members that were in attendance. We hugged, we took pictures, we celebrated the occasion amongst all the other families and graduates that were graduating that day. And my mom pulled me aside and she said, "Lukas, your grandmother's not feeling well. You're gonna have to take her home and the nurse is waiting for her at the house." I said, "What? How can this be? She was at the graduation ceremony. She wouldn't have come if she wasn't feeling well." But the fact remains that she wasn't feeling well and she still attended. And this was a bit of a bummer because my parents had actually planned a graduation party for me. This was at an event space in Miami on the water. The venue was amazing. The food was amazing. There was even an open bar. But I had to take my grandmother home before I could make my way to the party. So I did just that. I got my grandmother, we went to her house. She uses a wheelchair, so I got the wheelchair when we arrived. I put it next to the passenger door so that she could easily get there. Along the way, I could see that she was in a lot of pain and she was not feeling well. And when it came to that point where I was helping her get into the wheelchair, I could see her wincing. I can see the pain in her face. And I was thinking to myself, why is she putting herself through this? For one, this graduation ceremony is entirely in English, and she only speaks Spanish. She didn't understand a single word of what was being said. So I got a little bit frustrated. I thought to myself, why did she do this? I needed to know. So I asked her in a little bit of a confrontational way because I was upset at that point, which is a little bit selfish given that she was suffering at that time. I asked, why did you even show up? You're not feeling well. I can see you're in pain. You don't even know what's going on because you don't speak English. So why did you come? And her reply is what sticks in my mind. That's what has stuck with me all of these years, more so than any detail or any event that had happened at that graduation ceremony or even at that party that I had. And her reply was simply this. She looked at me in the eyes and she said calmly, as if the pain had completely gone out of her body. She said, "I know I'm in pain, and I know that I don't feel well. I know that I don't know what's going on, and I know that I did not understand the words that were said. But at least I got to see you graduate, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Lucas. Thank you. One of those moments. It's those moments that teach us when we least expect to be learning. Thank you, Lucas, for that. Our second speech tonight is from a member who has, well, she's become a better thinker and a better speaker and a better mentor, she says. Our second speech is by Antoinette Trim, and she's speaking from Engaging Humour. This is level 5 and leading in your volunteer organisation. Ever since Toastmaster Antoinette joined Toastmasters, she became, as she says, a better thinker, a better speaker, and a better mentor. But she says she's not ashamed to share her skills. But most importantly, she wants to share those skills with her friends and colleagues. So with me, a leader, will you please welcome Antoinette Trim?
Good evening, Toastmaster of the day and my fellow Toastmasters. Hi, yes, Pastor. Good evening. You want me to be the leader of the sign language group in church? You have full confidence in me? Anyway, no props. Bye. That was a conversation between myself and the pastor a few months ago. I expected that call, and also I was very eager to become the leader of the sign language group in church. Some of the common reasons why people volunteer their services: 1, to make contribution to society, and 2, to utilize skills, their expertise, and experiences. Do you know that losing volunteers is the same as losing qualifying value? In forming that group, I wanted to concentrate on 3 areas. Firstly, I am a Sunday school teacher, so I had a database in which I can obtain my students from. I went about calling my Sunday school students, and I told them to call your friends and let them get excited so they can join the sign language class in church. I concentrated mainly on forming and building relationships. As I said before, not all of them were my Sunday school students. So particularly those who were outside of my core group, I would ask them, how's school going, especially in this new virtual platform? And get comfortable with my son, with the children. I would even call parents to find out interpreter. The other area that I concentrate on with my group is to get committed students. In other words, for them to become committed. So I would tell them from time to time, you don't need a whole hour to practice a song in sign language, just 10 minutes of the day, and you'll be fine. Lastly, I also would tell them about the reward and recognition. Every one of us like to be rewarded. Every one of us like to be recognized in some way or fashion. From time to time, they will perform in church. The church members would clap. They'll congratulate the students. They would even congratulate me. And I feel very elated to actually volunteer myself to become a leader in sign language class in church. My greatest reward is to see all the children improve in the sign language skills. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Antoinette. I would say thank you in sign, but I don't know it. Maybe you could teach us that. All right, moving on now. Actually, no, before we go any further, it is time for us to find out if both of the speakers were within their allocated time. 5 to 7 minutes, which means they had to speak between 4.5 minutes and 7.5 minutes to be eligible for voting. Can I ask Hector for the timing of the two speeches?
Yes, Mr. General, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. I have Lukas at 4:55, and I have Antoinette at 4:21.
4:21, strictly speaking, not eligible for a 5 to 7 minute speech. You've got 30 seconds leeway. That's not quite enough. And so I'm sorry, Donna, we don't need you to do the vote for the best speaker because there is only one best speaker for tonight, and we should congratulate him now. Well done, Lukas. Yay. But well done, both speakers. I'm not going to say any more because that's up to the evaluators to tell us. Moving on to our next session. That's the formal prepared presentations. Now let's take a look at extemporaneous speaking, my favorite part of a Toastmasters meeting, I might tell you. And we might have a couple of extra ones tonight because we do have a little extra time. But Rick, if you can look to be wrapping these up by 37 minutes past the hour, your hour, whatever your hour is, with table topics. Here's Rick Dolling.
Good evening, everybody. Tonight we are going to have some fun now, since the work, as Graham has pointed out, is over. So now it's time for play. You may wonder how we're going to play today. Well, we're going to play around with words. I'm going to give you 4 words that aren't necessarily related to one another, and your job will be to turn those into a short extemporaneous speech. This is a little bit different than perhaps what you've done in the past. So I'll add one more twist. Up here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're rapidly moving into the fall. Down in the Southern Hemisphere, they're rapidly moving into the spring. So the first word in every last grouping of words that I'm going to offer you will in fact have something to do with a season. So you can take that word and use it for fall or spring, up to you, or just create something with the 4 words that I give you. Does that make sense to everyone? A lot of nodding of heads. All right. So here's an example of what it might look like. I will put this into chat because that way I can give you a chance to give me somebody to volunteer, and I will give you the first one that I'm going to use. So this would be S for spring, and seeds, original, carry, and grand. So you might be able to turn this into, I planted a whole bunch of seeds and it turned into grand plants that gave me the opportunity to carry my produce to market. And it turned out it was original marketing and I made a ton. So that's your compensation. That's how this will work. Do I have a volunteer to pick from 1 to 17? And I'll give you the words. Oh, I love being given the opportunity to volunteer. All right, Mitch, give me a number.
7.
All right, your words are, it's for, the first word is moonlit, which I thought fit the idea of fall. And the next series of words are key, happy, and smudge. So have some fun with that. The words are now in the chat.
Thank you, Table Topics Master Rick. I love the smell of a new car. It's what I just did. I went and got a new car. And to get the key to the new car is an amazing feeling. But you don't want to smudge anything on the way out of the dealership because it's a new car. Now, it's not a new car. I don't buy a new car. New to me, mind you. I'll let someone else take the initial depreciation hit driving off the lot for the very first time. But I was quite happy driving the car off the lot, and to be able to drive under a moonlit night was absolutely amazing. It's compensation for work that's been put into everything I've done over the last several years to have that reward of driving that new car to you home off the dealership lot. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And some of you who most of you don't know me, but I know Graham and I have been in Toastmasters clubs in the past and may have heard that I do like my Cadillacs. And yes, I got a new Cadillac XT5, a 2017, mind you, but that's the current wheels we're driving here in Escanaba, Michigan. Thank you for having me be a guest for the club tonight. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Hold on, Mitch. Do I have another volunteer? I like doing volunteered, by the way. All right, I'm just going to pick on Lou Brown.
I was just about to raise my hand.
Pick a number from 1 to 15.
5.
All right, you get a spring theme: growing, haste, make, and glance. And here the words are in chat.
I have my glasses on, yet I still got to increase this font. Okay, Mr. Topics Master. At first glance, I wasn't sure that the words were growing, haste, make, or glance, but then I'm looking again, I say, yes, they are indeed. Interestingly, I do not like the seasons to change in such a hasty way, especially when we're on this portion of the globe, the Northern Hemisphere, where we are now going into the fall. However, because we still have warm weather well into September and even a good chunk of October, no worries. I will make do with the weather we have now until things get colder. What I really appreciate, though, is with the warm weather, I can look out of my apartment and just glance down at the sidewalk and see all the wonderful people walking by, enjoying the day, especially today with the holiday. It was just nice to see everybody out and about and being somewhat carefree, knowing that, you know what, I can take a day off of work. I don't really have to worry about things. And of course, in today's day and age, I mean, it's just worry and anxiety and rush, and all kinds of things. It's just a shame that we have to, I'm hoping this tense works, compensate for the lack of work or the haste that we have in our daily lives with just one day of holiday. I really would prefer that we take a whole week off. And you know what, if I ever become a politician, that's what I'm going to propose, is some legislation to give us week holidays and not just one day holidays. I think that would be much better, especially since I know many people also work like 16-hour days. I'm like, oh my God, you can't do that every day for who knows how long. You're going to pass out eventually. With that said, I will make haste and end my topic right now because I'm glancing at the timer and I see it is quickly probably growing from yellow to red. See, I'm going to try and get these in twice here. And I will say thank you very much, Topics Master. Back to you.
Well done, Lewis. Do I have volunteers or do I go to voluntold? All right, Pamela, pick a number except for 7 and 5, 1 through 15.
1 through 15?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll pick 10.
All right, that's a spring theme. In the spring, we often have thaws that happen. Family, elevator, and include. Some random words for you, Pamela, and they are in the chat.
One time when I was very young, my aunt had visited. We were living in Chicago, and she had moved to the Detroit area. And we were taking her to the airport. The Chicago airport is O'Hare at that time, is the only one. The biggest and, well, the busiest airport in the world, it claims. It did in the day. And my mother took the three of us, she had 3 children at the time, with her to O'Hare to drop off my Aunt Eunice. Well, along the way, something happened. I'm not sure what happened, but I was on an elevator. I was on an escalator, not an elevator. I was on an escalator, and all of a sudden I turned around and I didn't see any of my family. Now, this was in the 60s, and I didn't really know what to do because I didn't have a cell phone then, nor did I know anyone who worked at O'Hare International, nor did I really know how to read very well. So I went up to a police officer and I told him, I said, I am very lost. I cannot find my mother. And he said, oh no, ma'am, you're not lost. Your mother's lost. You're with me. So that probably thawed some of my anxiety talking with the police officer. My mother said she almost had a heart attack and didn't know she could ever return home if she had lost her daughter at O'Hare. But family relationships thawed and we went forward. But that's one of my excellent adventures at O'Hare International Airport before I could learn to read.
Well done, Pamela. Excellent. Do I have another volunteer? All right, Jim Barber, you're smiling. You get it. Oh, and then I'll come to you, Marianne. Everything except 5, 7, and 10. 1 through 15, Jim.
1.
All right, you get the jackpot.
Well,
this is a spring theme bloom fact jackpot and occur. It's in the chat. Take it away.
Mr. Topics Master, my fellow Toastmasters, and our most welcome guest, Mitch. Good to see you. Wow, I'm going to do like Lou did. The words are bloom, fact, jackpot, and occur. There, I got them in. The pressure's off. Now I can settle down. First of all, I'm in the Northern Hemisphere, so spring is a distant memory or it's far, far in the future, but it really wouldn't matter if it were fall themed because I'm in Florida. And as Pam indicated, I think it was, we're still weeks away, maybe a couple of months away from having any sort of cool weather. So we are stuck in summertime, hot, muggy summertime. And the only thing that is really good about this time of year is that blooms on flowers, see how carefully I worked that in? Blooms on flowers are perpetual in Florida. We don't have blooming flowers in spring. We have them all the time. And that is one of the jackpots of living in Florida, is its perpetual blooming everything. And they occur, as I say, 12 months out of the year. And that, Mr. Topics Master, is a fact. I could continue, but I've used all 4 of the words. I don't want to show off, so I'm simply going to end it there. Mr. Topics Master.
Well done, Jim. All right, Marianne, everything except 7, 5, 10, and 1.
Let's go with number 4.
All right, that's a fall thing. I'm going to give you foggy, goals, life, and nose.
Hi, everybody. When you're thinking about setting goals for yourself, sometimes you could feel a little foggy. You don't know which way to go. You have to really determine what's important to you. And when you're doing things that you enjoy and that you like and that you want to do, you tend to accomplish those goals. So those are the best kind for yourself to set. Now, one of the things I could just say is follow your nose, but it's just not that easy. You have to plan and you have to use SMART goals, and they use that acronym, strategic. I'm not going to remember them all, but there is a way of setting goals. And one of the most important things in that acronym is being time bound, because a lot of us say, you know, I want to do this, I want to do that. And we don't really say by when. And if you don't do that, it's never going to happen. So that in that situation, it's not really a goal, it's a wish. So make sure that you set yourself smart goals for your life, and you will go far. And your compensation will rise, rise, rise.
Well done. Do I have another volunteer or do I go voluntold again? All right, David, you're right in the middle of my screen. How about we go with you?
Fire away.
7, 5, 10, 1, and 4 have been used. So you have any number you
2.
like. You got it. As a fall theme, colder, friends, wonderful, and track. It's in the chat now. Take it away, David.
Okay. So in fall, in theory, it starts to get colder, but it's very much a theoretical matter because, as with some of the other speakers tonight, I am in Florida, where occasionally in the evening you might get a little bit of a chill. You might have a pleasant coolness, a pleasant breeze, and that's a good time to be out on the porch with friends. That would be wonderful. To track the seasons as they move along, he says, knocking out the words one by one. And to sit out by the embers burning at a fire would be a wonderful thing, but it's not going to happen out on my porch because what I have on my porch is mostly weeds leading up to the edge of the pool. And so that is something that I could go out and admire with my friends. We could discuss the variety of weeds and the pretty little wildflowers that are blooming between the cracks in the pavers. And that is about the peak of fall fun that I can imagine. Mr. Topics Master.
Well done, David. I have 3 people in mind if no one's going to volunteer. All right, Graham, I'm picking on you.
Fair enough.
Any number except 2, 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, and 10.
Well, 15 since it's the last one.
All right. Baby, it's a spring theme, baby. Incredible. Dogs and hands.
Spring is sprung, the grass is riz, I wonder where the birdies is. That was a saying that I was taught by my father, who had a fascination with doggerel. He also told me about twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder what you're at, up above the world so high, like a tea tray in the sky. Now, the reason that I mention these bits of doggerel, these bits of terrible poetry that make us smile, is because we learn as children how to play with the language. We learn that things don't always appear what they say. As a baby, for example, when our parents talk to us, we take everything as rote. But we learn that the world is much more incredible than that we can expand on what they're saying and have what they say mean something else. Let me give you an example based on today's theme, which is work and play. We're told that we work like dogs. But when you think about it, a dog's life is actually pretty good most of the time. They get to sit around in the sun. They get to go for walks with their masters. They get to run and jump and dream. You ever notice dogs dreaming? It's really quite fascinating. Their little paws going mad. You know, if they had hands, it would be a different matter, but they don't. They've just got paws. So all they can do is create their world with their paws rather than creating the world with their hands. We, on the other hand, because we have hands, because we have imagination, because we can conceive of the incredible, because we are no longer babies, we can change the world, we can make it work for us, we can play with it, and that is our compensation, whether it's spring, summer, autumn, or winter, Mr. Topics Master.
Well done, Graham. Anybody else want to volunteer? Andy, are you volunteering? Sure. I had you in mind anyways. Anything from one, anything? I'm just going to give you some words. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. It's a spring theme. Green compensation, since that's the word of the day. So you get to get a bonus with that. Big and handy.
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow members and most welcome guests. I did not volunteer, I just left my thumb up. However, I'm up for this challenge. In the same way, I was up for the challenge to organize my 14 years old daughter's birthday party. She wasn't green at all. She was ready to rumble and she had a bunch of friends ready for go-karting party. And in compensation for all the effort I put into it, I had a chance to sit down and have my cup of tea. That was really handy, especially my big girl didn't come first. That was a big, massive disappointment for her. So as a compensation, I had my second cup of coffee in my hand. By the time all the roaring and racing teenagers finished their 24th lap, I had 5 compensations that I count, 5 cups of coffee that came really handy. And then sitting over there and thinking to myself, whether it was my green little daughter, or the 5 compensations I had, or the big party that I throw for her, everything came handy when she came to me, hugged me, kissed me, and said, "Thank you, Daddy." Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Well done, Andy. Any more volunteers? Does any of our guests want to give this a swirl? Boy, the silence is deafening. I will just randomly pick somebody then. See, how about our counter, April Elise? April, you up for it?
Yes, I'm up for it.
All right, I'm going to give you fall, seasonal, improved friends, and glance.
Thank you, Table Topic Master. Fall is my favorite season. It's an opportunity for me to improve the amount of time that I spend with my friends, because during the summer months, I do spend a lot of time hanging out with my family, doing family vacations. And when I take a look at my calendar, I just glance and I'm like, I don't spend any time with my friends. And I know they say friends comes in seasons, but it should not be a seasonal thing. And that's something that I should be able to improve upon. I should not wait until the weather gets cooler in order for me to hang out with my friends. So this is why I am taking an opportunity to look within myself to improve upon this and not be a fair weather friend, and to make sure that I do not wait until fall to hang out with my friends. Back to you, Table Topic Master.
All right, well done, April. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to our Toastmaster of the day, who I think is going to call for evaluations on these. Graham?
Indeed. Thank you, Rick. Yes, I will. Because we have a spare evaluator tonight, I've actually asked that we have an evaluation of the table topics. That'll be Jim, but that'll be coming up as part of the general evaluation section rather than mine. I have to say, if there is can I get the timing for those before I go any further, please, Hector?
Absolutely, everybody did a wonderful job and everybody meet the qualifications. You'll see the timings in the chat right now.
Excellent. And so all of those people are eligible to be voted upon. And Madam Vote Counter, Donna, can you tell us how we're going to vote for the table topics participant, best table topic for the evening? Donna still there? I see no Donna. I think Donna might have dropped off. Yep, no, definitely don't. No, Donna. Donna has disappeared. She has gone off to get some form of compensation. Now, David, what were you down to do tonight?
Nothing.
Since you have control, of the software, can I ask if you can please set up what's required for
okay. Maybe it would be simpler actually for this one to just send me the private chat message.
Cool.
So
can you please
send me the private chat message, and if Donna's not back, I'll do the link for the evaluations.
Fabulous. Okay. All right. So if you can please send, and David is listed as OP. So if you can send OP David Carr, your best table topic participant, that would be a fabulous thing. So that's just about it from me as Toastmaster. But everything that we do in Toastmasters is evaluated. We know this. I don't need to go through all this. Instead, I'll call upon our general evaluator, Lou Brown, to tell us how he is going to run the evaluation section of this meeting. Lou, all yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. I plan to run this section of the program, the evaluation section, pretty much how I've always run them. I'll introduce the evaluators, who will give their evaluations of our speakers. I will call on all of our role helpers to give their reports, and then give a little bit of feedback on my observations with our meeting today. I believe there was a little bit of switch up of some roles, so if I happen to mess up with some of these, feel free to just correct me. Our first evaluator is Jim Barber, am I correct? No.
No, the first evaluator will be...
I know Kim is second.
Carolina. I think it was Carolina.
Oh, Carolina, very good. Okay, our first evaluator. That's right, it got switched from third to first, very good. Okay, Carolina is evaluating Lukas Calafell's wonderful speech on graduation and grandmas. And the evaluations, by the way, are 2 to 3 minutes for our guests who may not know that. Please take it away, Carolina.
Thank you, Lou. The main objective of Lucas' speech was to practice using a story within a speech or giving a speech that is a story. Storytelling skills. He excelled at the good use of hand gestures. The pauses Lucas used gave emphasis to his speech. Regarding the story, it had a good structure with a strong ending, and it was very descriptive. Things to improve, according to what I saw. Lucas, your background, the angle between the ceiling and the wall looked inclined. I could see something like a chair at the left of the screen, and you were looking a little bit down with regard to the camera. The angle of your body regarding the camera was a little bit down. Regarding vocal variety, some things to improve. There were some emotional or sad moments during your story. For instance, when you were talking about your grandmother's pain, that is the moment when you have to speak slower and maybe change a little bit the expression of your face in order to put more sadness or emotions in your speech. But in general terms, your speech was very emotional with a strong ending. The compensation for your grandmother pain was to see you graduate. It was entertaining, descriptive, and you definitely achieved your objective. Congrats.
Thank you very much, Carolina. Our second and final evaluator is Kim Leeming, who is evaluating Antoinette Trim. Take it away, Kim.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, dear guests, and especially Toastmaster Antoinette Trim. The speech was me, a leader. This was the level 5 speech from the Engaging Humor Path. Antoinette delivered the goods tonight. She delivered a motivational and uplifting speech, which is something we all needed on a Monday night, right? Antoinette dramatized to all of us what a great combination playfulness, hand gestures, enthusiasm, and humor can be. First of all, I loved your speech. What you did is to deliver your speech while at the same time you seemed to be having a lot of fun. I felt that you enjoyed delivering every minute of your speech like it was both work and play. Antoinette, you indicated in your introduction that you wanted to share your experience of serving as a leader at your church. In chatting with beforehand, you indicated that you wanted to work on the usual tone, verbal variety, etc. Congratulations, you achieved both of your goals. What I liked is that you based your speech on your personal story as a volunteer. Personal stories create authenticity. They also create authority. They help the speaker create an emotional bond with the audience. And you managed to do that perfectly. I love the way you opened. I love the way you set it up by reenacting a phone conversation you had with your pastor. It was also great that you used your cell phone as a prop. Ladies and gentlemen, notice how Antoinette's key message is perfectly aligned with the rest of her content. When you start with a very strong yet simple key message, as Antoinette did, it becomes very easy to keep up with the speech and match each of her 3 pieces of content to follow with that key message. This also helped make her speech come to life for me. I love how she used body language to express her emotions in her speech. When she described her role at the church, her whole face lit up. I love your infectious smile. I found myself smiling right back at you as you spoke. I felt that you were talking directly to me. You made me feel special as you looked and spoke directly to the camera. Your body language gestures themselves were awesome with the applause and then the sign language at the end, which I don't know how to do. How can you improve the speech? I have a couple of suggestions. The first is to ask the audience rhetorical questions. When you ask the audience questions, it involves and engages them even more. My second suggestion is that I would like the stronger conclusion. Your speech was so engaging, and then all of a sudden it was over. To conclude, fantastic speech, great gestures, awesome smile. You hit on all the marks. I recommend to add a stronger conclusion and to keep just doing what you're doing. I love hearing you speak, Antoinette, and thank you for sharing with us tonight. Mr. General Evaluator, back to you.
Thank you very much, Kim. Appreciate that. We do have a third evaluator, believe it or not. If you remember from the opening what Graham announced, we are doing a special evaluation of our topic speakers. That special evaluation segment, which is also 2 to 3 minutes, like every evaluation, will be conducted by Toastmaster Jim Barber. Take it away, sir.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Before I begin, let me do a general overview evaluation. First of all, to Rick, this was a wonderfully creative table topics. I like this. This was a challenge. You made it, it was very challenging, but without being impossible to do. It was just required an awful lot of thought. And that is exactly what table topics is supposed to be. Congratulations, well done. Congratulations also to each of the victims who responded to Rick's questions, because everybody, this was difficult, this was challenging, and I think everybody did a great job. Now let me quickly, in 2 to 3 minutes, give a brief evaluation of each of the responses. Mitch, you were the first one, very brave, very smooth. Congratulations, you set the standard. That was great, I loved that. Lou, well done, smooth. Pam, also smooth, but both Pam and Lou have a Zoom problem. Pam's not doing it now. Lou occasionally is. If your head gets too close to the top of the screen, the green screen sort of erupts the top of your head, putting a crown on top of your head. That's it. So just kind of lower yourself a little bit further in the video frame. It's a Zoom problem, but it becomes your problem. Marianne, very well done, but you need to be a little bit closer to the camera. We couldn't see your face as well as we would like to. David, of course, very good response, but you have a tendency to steeple your hands. Don't do that. Let's see, page 2. Graham, very good, very smooth. And what I especially like, I don't get surprised by new words at Toastmasters all that often, but Graham used the word doggerel, which I love that word. That was wonderfully done. And it also used one of his words right inside that, dog. So I don't know if he planned that or not, but that was very well done. I'm going to assume that it was on purpose. Andre, very smooth. Loved that. Just a great response. April, same thing, very smooth, but you need to be, can't see you now. Where'd you go, April? But you need to be closer to the camera. You're just, that's all, there you are. Yeah, get a little bit closer to the camera so we can see you a little bit better. And that's everybody except for me. What can I say? My response was flawless. It was textbook. There is absolutely nothing to improve on. The fact is, my response bloomed in creativity. We hit the jackpot, and that's my story. I'm sticking with it. Mr. Topics Master, or Mr. General Evaluator, excuse me.
Thank you very much, Jim. And thank you for not saying something like, Lou, your bald head just blinded us all with the light shining off of it or something like that. So thank you, I appreciate that. Okay, we are going to move into the reports from our role helpers.
Do we need a
But before we
timer's
do that,
report?
I just remembered at the last second, but before we do that, we need a timer's report for our evaluators. And you know, I'm going to ask our Toastmaster if he would like our special evaluation to be included in the voting.
Yes.
Very
That was
good.
my intent. So if we can get a timer's report for all 3 evaluations and then vote on best evaluator again to OP David Carr.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we do have a link this time.
Wonderful. I didn't check the chat. Hector, are the times in there? There they are.
Yes, everybody
Thank you
missed the
again.
qualification of a minimum time.
Okay, while everyone is voting, I will go through the role helper reports. I'll ask Hector if you have any other information to share regarding timing. Whoops, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I think in terms of time, everybody did an excellent job. We had only 2 speakers, and the table topics master blew it out of the park by being prepared with a lot of words to choose from on all these options, and make a great use of the time, making a lot of participation from the team, and everybody did their minimum minute. So I think that was remarkable. And a couple of people only made me use my red card once. So that was great. That's all I can say. The meeting is running perfectly on time.
Wonderful, thank you. And you know what? We do have a little bit of extra time. So I would be curious for you as our timer to see if you have any suggestions for our speakers that may fall a little short of their minimum time. You know, we're all seasoned Toastmasters. Maybe we all have sort of our own opinion on what that might be, but I'd be interested to hear what yours might be to help our speakers, besides either just speaking slowly or anything else. Like maybe there's a plan B when they're actually delivering what they could do. Any thoughts?
Well, let me tell you, this is just my own trick to be on time and meet the minimum. I usually do it for the maximum because I tend to speak too much, but on my watch, I kind of hit my timer so that I get to that 6 minutes. And I know, obviously, I met the minimum because I'm already at 6. And also it gives me a clue, Hector, you have to close your speech very soon because you only have a minute and a half to go. So it started buzzing my hand. Obviously, nobody else can see that, but me, I can feel it. And it keeps reminding me that I need to close. So it's just a little bit of a trick that I use. Maybe some of you want to use it or not. Just share it with you. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I do know about speaking too long because I did that myself in an area contest once. I think I went 7 minutes and 31 seconds. Okay, very good. Moving on to our counter report. April.
Thank you, General Evaluator. So this afternoon we had what I did is I just consolidated. I'm going to also share it in the chat. So half of our uns and ahs came from ands, and a third of it came from ahs. So you can basically say about 75% of our ums and ahs came from the two words of and ahs. So that looks like the two words that we seem like we rely on the most. But again, I will share it in the chat. That way everyone can kind of look at their own crutch words that were used throughout this afternoon's meeting. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Interestingly, many of our reports from the helpers can go fairly long. I appreciate everyone kind of sticking to the 1 minute criterion. Usually folks will go longer as we have about 2 minutes left in our meeting. So now I guess feel free to stretch things out just a tiny bit if you like, which may be the case for our grammarian, who in my opinion deserves compensation for filling in for this role at the last minute. Marianne Grady, please share how many folks use the word of the day? And as well as your grammarian
the
report.
word of the day was awesome because we had April, Graham, Rick, Mitch, Lou, myself, and Andre. And I think there's probably more, but it was really very, very well used tonight. So it was a terrific selection. Graham used the word indistinguishable. Now I want to encourage everybody that you should be looking for more than generic words. Think of ways to stretch and make your language a little more interesting or colorful by choosing different vocabulary words to say the same things. It just really makes you stand out. Lukas, you said that and all the things you said to lead up to this, I got to see you graduate. Now that was just a sentence that was full of love in my mind, and being able to share a personal story like that and put that in there, I love that. Antoinette Trim, you used the term very elated. Now the word elated actually means ecstatically happy. So I don't think you need the word very in front of it. Just my opinion. Jim had a lot of things tonight. Distant memory, far, far in the future, as he was talking about spring. Stuck in the summertime. Blooms on flowers are perpetual in Florida. I really enjoyed thinking about it. You made me picture what you were talking about, so that was nice. And Graham, finally, the one last thing that you said that I found very interesting was to play with the language when you were doing your table topic. Very nice use of language. But thank you, everybody. Great job. And back to you, General Evaluator.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you very much, Marianne. Appreciate that. Our watcher, Laura, please share your watcher report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. I'm going to have a little bit of a leeway on a longer watcher report since we have some time. First off, all in general, great looking folks. Specifically, I would say my preference on backgrounds is when it's clean, clear. Secondly, would be a crisp background, but not let it be crisper than the actual speaker. Now, Graham Cairns, you have sort of a busy background, but you noted it. You explained what your background is. And Rick Derling, gorgeous, vivid background, but I found myself wondering, what is that? Is that a scene from Avatar, the movie? What is, and I don't remember hearing you discuss what it was. So it sort of led me to focus on that rather than you. Lewis Brown, now very clean background, love it. I would suggest maybe a contrast. You're wearing white and your background is also white. Take a look at Marianne Grady, who also has a white background, but she's got color. and I want to give kudos to those who have the theme in their backgrounds, Kim and Marianne and Hector. Congratulations on that. Now, a note about the blurry backgrounds. I noticed that when there's action, when your body goes into the blurry background, it'll become blurry. So Antoinette, your cell phone went from clear to blurry, clear to blurry. Also, Pamela, when you go towards the camera, you've got the disappearing hair when you move. And also Carolina, also, you have the disappearing hands because of the blurry background. So just take a look at that in the future. But overall, really great. I love Jim Barber. The lighting looks great. Lukas, lighting looks great. Clean background. April as well, clean blurry background, but great lighting. David Carr, overall great job. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much. And I'm not sure what you were watching because I'm not wearing white. What happened there? See, it's great when you can kind of adjust on the fly. Awesome. Thank you very much, Laura. Appreciate that. Our chat monitor, who also deserves compensation for filling in at the last moment, Toastmaster Andre Smolenko.
Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator. As a chat monitor, I decided to use a chat for my chat monitor report. Put it briefly, no profanities in the chat. What a wonderful advanced club we are. Hey, extremely important that I would like to mention Rick Darling, our table topics master, who used the chat masterfully for his table topic session. And I would like to see the use of chat more because, of course, I am a chat monitor. And because we're advanced club, we had one of the most controversial comments ever. And I'm sure it will go all around the Toastmasters from now on. Lukas Calafell in the chat put the following: the only thing that happens in Florida fall is Starbucks releasing pumpkin spice lattes. Oh, Lukas, you've gone into the history of Toastmasters. Congratulations. Apart from that, I didn't notice anything else of more importance than those three key points I put in the chat. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Andre. Appreciate that. I guess as an advanced Toastmasters club, perhaps we could have advanced profanity in the chat, and that might apply. Maybe. Who knows? Okay, very good. We're going to save our vote counter for the end. I'll just give a couple of thoughts on the meeting itself. I do apologize, as part of my job is to evaluate the evaluators. I was kind of making some notes and listing out our role helpers as I was also listening to the reports. But I will say we have such an advanced professional group of people, very experienced. Our evaluations are always first rate. I actually learned a lot from listening to folks like Graham, who evaluate evaluators. I'm like, wow, I never would have thought of that. So Graham, feel free to chime in if you like. What I observed is really just a great approach to offering your observations on what you liked and, of course, what you would have done differently. One thing I do try to avoid with the language, and I'm not sure if both evaluators specifically said this, maybe here and there, is just to rehash what the speaker did. You did this, then you did that, then you did this, then you did that. Well, that's not necessarily all that bad because sometimes it may be you may be setting yourself up for what you're about to really announce in terms of something else. I would like to hear more about, okay, you did a certain thing and it made me feel a certain way, or my reaction was this, because those things that really grabbed you, I'd like to hear exactly how they made you felt. In terms of the suggestions for improvement, I struggle with this myself, but if you do have some areas that you also go, wow, I really didn't even catch that, or something was too brief, or otherwise it didn't come out the way that it really might have hit me in a stronger way, is to offer a alternative. Maybe you could have said this instead of that, or said something slower. Great to always offer an alternative. Again, I'm not always able to do that myself, especially in the time allotted for an evaluation. But if you're able to do that, that would be great to give the speaker some extra material that they can then substitute and make their speech even that much stronger. Great theme for our meeting, Graham, with the work in place, right in line with the holiday. I know that we have it here in the US and Canada. Yours is coming up in October. For the other countries around the world, hopefully you do have a Labor Day here and there, if not a Labor Week, because again, I'm going to propose that at some point. Graham, also great job in getting the roles filled at the last minute. I know some folks are unable to get, some other folks showed up a little later than normal, but kudos to those who did have some issues. Jim, I know you shared that, but you were still able to make it in time for being our special role today, the topics evaluator. That was really great. You know, and it's not ideal that we have to fill in roles at the last minute, but I think I have yet to attend a meeting where that hasn't been done. It just seems to be the way things go. Andre, I really liked how in the chat you shared the speaker information, the name of their speech, the project is from, the path, the level perhaps. I don't know if we've ever done that before. If we have, I don't remember, but that is a great thing. I love that. And it gives a chat monitor something a little extra to contribute as well. So kudos to you for that. I really like that. Table topics, I don't have to give an evaluation since Jim himself did that. I just wanted to add one thing though, is to try to keep track of those who don't have a role. Now, granted, we had a lot of time, so you can pretty much go through all of us, but you did miss some folks, and I know those are folks who didn't have a role, so it'd be great to have them contribute first. I also think probably for our officer team, so that is my own takeaway, that a little bit better planning with some of the things that happen when we also have to fill in for other roles like Sergeant at Arms and things like that. And that is my general evaluator report. I will, unless our Toastmaster of the day has anything left to say, no, we will pass it on to our president, which is back to me. I feel like I've been passing it to myself a lot lately.
We do need to have the results of the votes, of course.
There you go. And I did say I'm going to save it for the end. And there you go. I didn't even do it. So vote counter, David, please share the results of the votes.
Well, we had a lot of table topics contestants, so we had a lot of votes for a lot of different people. And yet Mitch ran away with the vote in the end. Hooray, Mitch. That means you have to join now. It meant that anyway. The evaluators also, I was watching I get to watch the vote shift as the different votes come in. So everybody got a bunch of votes, but Kim got the most votes. Yay, Kim. And we know who the best speaker is already. So I'm done.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, I have no specific announcements myself. I know we're coming off of a week of the Toastmasters convention, and there's been a little chatter online in the Facebook group about the replays and so forth. I'm not exactly sure what that was about, but I would love to hear back from our guests. We will, well, Mitch, hey, the winner of our table topics. Mitch, why don't you share a little bit about what you gained from being at our meeting today? And you know what, if you do join, I believe you may be our first DJ, which would be awesome.
Well, thank you very much, Lewis. I appreciate it. This has been a great session, a great meeting. It's been nice to be welcomed into the club with open arms. And I love the different perspective from each of you that you bring. And it's a wealth of knowledge. And I greatly appreciate all of you sharing here tonight. And I think it's a great, I love the different aspects I'm seeing out of this club with the report right away, the voting online. I was very impressed by your website as well. So you have a well-run club. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mitch. Thank you for being here. We look forward to seeing you again in the future. Marianne Olson, what have you gained from your experience today?
Well, I really enjoyed the meeting this evening. The speeches were great. I've never seen table topics done quite like that before. It's really interesting. It adds a little bit of a twist and a little bit of a challenge to table topics. It was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, and I agree. It was very interesting. And yes, I was very challenged, which is why I kind of just started spitting out the words. I wasn't sure exactly. It was tough for me to put that story together. Dominic, please share with us what you gained from today's meeting.
Well, besides the interesting take on table topics, I would say that how the Toastmaster of the day explained the purpose behind his background. I felt it was very appropriate. It was something I've never seen before. And I feel that maybe if more often we could give that importance to the background, as our watcher said. So it's something I'll try and consider in future meetings.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here and also look forward to you being with us in the future. I think this is your second meeting, so that's awesome. And by the way, all you have to do is attend twice to apply for membership. Look at that. You're already eligible. I do have to, I guess, Graham, is that a virtual background or is that your real?
Yeah, that's a virtual background, but
Okay.
I chose books because, as I said, they are for me both my work and my play. If I could just make a comment to something Dominic just said and that was mentioned by the watcher. I can't help it. I'm an educator and I try to turn everything into a learning moment or at least a teaching moment. And so I think about those sorts of things. I think about when, and you mentioned in evaluations, and I'm actually fairly pleased with the way that I evaluate. I try to use everything as a teachable moment. If I have an observation that makes me go, oh, then I want to share that. And so try to think of everything as a teachable moment in a Toastmasters meeting, and you'll be surprised how often these things will come to you.
Yeah, that's a good point because I know we are an advanced club, but boy, there's always something new I learn even as an advanced Toastmaster. And I mean, I'm a true believer in the fact that we're always growing, continuous learning, that mindset. So I'll be learning all the way to my last breath. Awesome. I am going to call this meeting officially closed, but I do ask everyone if you would like to hang around a little bit. We kind of have a little post party. We have a DJ with us. Maybe he might play a little music for us. You never know. But this meeting of online presenters is now officially over.